Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. What we're going to do today is we have an overview of our critical incident briefing video release. It's due 45 days after a officer-involved shooting critical incident that is investigated by our Bureau of our Division of Criminal Investigation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do an overview of this critical incident briefing, which pertains to the July 5th, 2026 officer-involved shooting that occurred in the 11,000 block of Bell Fountain Road. What you'll see, it'll be very similar to all of our other critical incident briefings. You will hear radio traffic. We will use some radio traffic from that Prendergast address where the pool party and kind of mass gathering started, but also radio traffic between officers and dispatchers who were responding to that area, as well as the aftermath in the 11,000 block of Bell Fountain. You'll also see body-worn camera video footage, dash camera video footage, as well as some surveillance video footage. Because this is an active investigation, we know that there are going to be some questions once you see the video. Chief Cox will actually come up and take some questions. We're going to answer everything that we can, but we do want you to know that at this point, we won't be able to answer everything, but we will answer everything that we can. So if you all are ready, we'll go ahead and watch the video. It's about 22 minutes long. So, here we go.
Hi and welcome. I'm Vera Clay, Public Information Supervisor for the St. Louis County Police Department. In this critical incident briefing video, we will share what we know about an officer-involved shooting that occurred on Sunday, July 5th, 2026 in the 11,000 block of Bell Fountain Road in St. Louis County, Missouri. We are committed to being open with the public. As part of that commitment, we will show you relevant video, evidence, and the police response to this incident. Because this investigation is still active, our goal is to provide you with the clearest picture possible based on the facts our detectives have gathered so far. The St. Louis County Police Department conducts thorough use of force investigations. Detectives spend significant time interviewing witnesses, reviewing video footage, and analyzing forensic evidence. This briefing is not intended to draw any conclusions about whether the officers involved acted within our department's policy or the law, but to inform you, the public, of the information we know up to this point. Investigations involving uses of force could take several months to complete. Before we start, we'd like to issue a warning. The images and videos you're about to see may be distressing to watch, and you may hear abrasive language or profanity. When a police officer uses force to make an arrest or defend themselves or others against an attack, it can be graphic and difficult to watch. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Moore, Commanding Officer of the Division of Criminal Investigation. On Sunday, July 5th, 2026, the St. Louis County Police Bureau of Communications received multiple 911 calls for peace disturbances in and around the 11,000 block of Prendergast Lane in the Spanish Lake community of St. Louis County. Callers reported hundreds of teenagers and numerous vehicles blocking the streets as a result of a pool party. Additional callers reported teens running across private property, teens armed with guns, multiple firework detonations, and fights in progress. At approximately 8:51 p.m., officers from the St. Louis County Police North County Precinct were dispatched to the area and encountered large crowds of teens. Police officers determined it was an unlawful assembly. They began efforts to disperse the crowd by directing teens, many who were on foot and others in vehicles, out of the area. Dispersal efforts continued for more than an hour with little success. During dispersal efforts, police officers encountered a fight in progress, at least one individual armed with a gun, fireworks being thrown at police officers and police vehicles, and one firework-related injury to a citizen. An officer in need of aid call was also broadcast for assistance from surrounding police agencies. We have condensed approximately 1 hour and 7 minutes of police radio traffic to help provide a clear description of what occurred.
Car 3110 traffic complaint. update is approximately 100 juveniles and vehicles blocking the roadway. 115.1851.
Can't clear enough.
2180 right on Pendergrass and 3110. We just got shots fired on Pendergrass. Is that legit or is that fireworks?
I'm operating the entire nothing.
2180, that's going to be fireworks. There is going to be about over 100 vehicles and people walking down the street. It's all blocked off.
Would you like more cars?
Yeah, then there's cars too. There's, fireworks in the middle of the road and houses.
Car 2123, 3114.
3114, 31. 3110, I see fireworks out here.
3110, fireworks will be shut off to 906.
3123 in the area.
2123 in the area is 906.
2180, we're going to get a lot more cars out here if we have them available.
Any available units to respond?
2180, you have a fight and an individual with a gun running.
What direction and description?
It's going to look like northbound on Pendergrass. I see me juveniles right now. I don't even have a description for you. Stand by.
Stay still, fight in progress, no gun running northbound Pendergrass.
The closest address I have, Pendergrass.
3110, 10 towards Pendergrass, man, Mark.
And be advised for any officers approaching. I do not have a description of that individual with a gun.
No description of individual with the gun is 913.
31.
Sorry, 3190.
This is my police officer arriving, to the call. They was bailed down to stop those cars and turn it in, and out all these kids, leaving the way, leaving out of bailed out.
Cars still en route, we need to block the entrance from both sides so cars cannot get in.
Please turn right.
Fighting around 913. Car 2180. 2180, are you still?
Yes, I think so. Stand by.
715 arriving, bailed down Pendergrass, cutting off traffic. You want no one leaving or just entering?
3190 did not want any cars to enter.
Yeah, 3190 didn't show cars to enter it, allow them to leave, but no, they need more cars. Enter this area from Hilltown. Like I got up. Anyway, this line, we are pushing everyone from the original location, westbound of Pendergrass, even back to Hilltown.
Pushing everyone northbound Pendergrass to get to Belltown 921.
3107.
Car 3107.
I'm gonna be at work. I get the investor out one time for a firework related injury.
Car 3107 and more requesting EMS fireworks related injuries 925.
3109.
Car 3190.
Just about 2180, our side, Pendergrass, clear. Everybody should be support Belltown at this point.
Car 2180.
2180. I copy direct. We still have quite a few. I think Pendergrass and Fillmore. We're still trying to get them towards Belltown. They're following up here.
And car 3190, were you clear on that? 930.
Hey, we got multiple juveniles running for a dead water Belltown, juvenile fireworks up in the air.
Multiple juveniles. That mark Belltown shooting fireworks 932. Car 3190. 3190, we clear on gauge traffic of several juveniles shooting out fireworks at that mark Belltown.
3190 up there.
931.
Make sure y'all stay close to y'all vehicles. They're popping fireworks about police here.
315, fireworks potentially being shot by a cop car to 101.
3190.
Car 3190.
Just be alive, yeah. Fireworks going on out here. You're walking down. Yeah, we're gonna car making work.
Gonna start making arrests. 3190, are you even secure?
2180. We advise that you start the firework at the line.
2180, what's your exact location?
Belltown.
At flooding in Belltown, fireworks being shot at 2180.
3190. Yeah, no, later. Let's wait around 8 o'clock.
Station cell also need a day. It's gonna be Pendergrass call, Belltown flooding.
6 around. 13, we're going on 10 flooding.
13 on scene.
6 on 10 flooding.
6 on flooding.
4 on flooding.
4 on flooding.
3182, everybody goes south. Everybody goes south from our positions.
No objections at this point. Everyone goes out, no exceptions for 3182.
3190.
Or 3190.
How they each live out, him and his officers are secure.
Or 3182.
82, that's clear. Everyone in our area is secure. They're walking one back from Bell Fountain and Monticello. There's gonna be a large crowd gathering, Larimore and Bell Fountain.
3182 secure, walking on back to Los Angeles. So we're gathering Larimore Los Angeles.
At 10:03 p.m., a 911 call was received from the McDonald's restaurant located in the 11,000 block of Bell Fountain Road. A store manager reported a crowd of 10 to 20 teens inside the restaurant, refusing to leave, and requested police assistance. At approximately 10:09 p.m., as officers in the area of Bell Fountain and Larimore continued to clear the crowds, they witnessed fireworks being set off near the McDonald's restaurant. Officers at the McDonald's continued to attempt to clear both the restaurant and the parking lots, ordering everyone to leave the area. As officers moved on the south side of the McDonald's parking lot, a subject in the crowd threw large fireworks toward Bell Fountain Road as two St. Louis County officers approached. The officers ran toward the subject. One officer fired his less lethal weapon while another secured a suspect. The first officer proceeded to the back of the McDonald's parking lot. Seconds later, an emergency alert tone was activated and an officer in need of aid call was broadcast. A St. Louis County police officer responding to the officer in need of aid call approached the parking lot from Bell Fountain Road. The responding officer spotted the officer whose alert tone was activated near the back of the parking lot, yelling at a vehicle and striking the rear passenger window with the butt of the less lethal shotgun. As the vehicle accelerated forward away from the original officer, the responding officer fired his service weapon at the vehicle. The vehicle came to a stop, and everyone inside was ordered out of the vehicle. Now you will hear relevant radio traffic related to the incident just described.
3175, more fireworks in the McDonald's on Bell Fountain.
3110, more fireworks in the McDonald's gentlemen.
3190.
Or 3190.
Gonna say that this is a situation we count for 8 off now, you part of Calvin needs to do with local county now.
3190, canceling days, volumes on scene will be responding to McDonald's.
3110, subject throwing fireworks in the middle of Bell Fountain Road from the McDonald's parking lot.
3110, subjects throwing fireworks into Los Angeles. From the McDonald's, intentional fire loss, away turn. Officer unit A for 3114. 3114, you have locations anyone have eyes on.
Put it back to the McDonald's parking lot.
Officer unit A to McDonald's.
22, shot fired.
Shot fire station L. Officer unit A to McDonald's.
Whenever you can carry it up.
Product here, 15.
3182, we need more units here to secure this scene, more units.
All units to respond to McDonald's.
3182, get any responding units, shut down Bell Fountain between Larimore and 270. Nobody gets here. Start crime scene units in the McDonald's. We do have shot fired, Officer Bolton.
Shut down southbound. 270 will need crime scene McDonald's repulse.
Now we'll show you relevant dash camera videos and body-worn camera videos from different angles to help provide a clear description of what occurred. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Body-worn cameras used by the St. Louis County Police Department have a 30-second buffer of video without audio. Upon activation, the camera goes back 30 seconds and begins recording. This feature is designed to capture incidents that occur suddenly where an officer does not immediately activate the camera. The cameras are worn at chest level by officers assigned to the Division of Patrol and most officers assigned to Special Task Force details. They capture a general perspective from that angle. Available lighting, movement, distance, and other factors can affect clarity and picture quality.
Officer David Cox.
During the shooting, a teenage male and a teenage female who were inside the vehicle were struck by gunfire. A third female suffered a minor injury caused by broken glass. Officers on scene treated their injuries, and they were transported to an area hospital for treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. A total of 10 juveniles were inside the vehicle when the shooting occurred. All were taken into custody, interviewed, and later released. In total, 12 shots were fired by law enforcement officers, 1 round from an officer's less lethal shotgun, and 11 rounds from an officer's handgun. No shots were fired from the occupied vehicle. Multiple fireworks, consistent with those detonated during the unlawful assembly, were located inside the occupied vehicle. The St. Louis County police officers involved in this use of force are 29 years old with 4 years of law enforcement experience and 33 years old with 6 years of law enforcement experience. No officers were physically injured in this incident.
The St. Louis County Police Department policies applicable to this incident and release of information are General Order 26-29, use of force, and General Order 16-68, public information and news media policy. Both can be found on our department website, www.stlouiscountypolice.com. The St. Louis County Police Department will continue to investigate and analyze this incident for as long as it may take. Detectives will continue to interview any new witnesses that may come forward and document and analyze new evidence that is discovered. After the investigation is completed, the findings are forwarded to the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office for an independent review. Thank you for taking time to view this critical incident briefing.
So at this time, Chief Cox is available to answer any questions that we can. If you guys just raise your hands, I'll just point you out. Chief?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. We understand the public's concern regarding this incident. Anytime you have the number of minors that were involved and the level of force used, it's going to cause some concern for all of us. The officers involved have been detached to administrative assignments, and they will remain there until the administrative investigation is completed. The administrative and the criminal investigation, as Vera stated, are still ongoing at this time. We'll open it up for questions now.
Can you talk a little bit about some kind of contradictory that one officer is telling these kids, get in the car and drive away, and then it seems like they were shot at because they were in the car driving away. Can you address that a little bit?
That is what happened. They were receiving commands from one officer and different commands from another officer at the time of the incident.
Were these juveniles, do you believe, following orders when they
Well,
drove away?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to the teenagers. I don't know if which officer they were listening to, but it did appear as though they were receiving 2 different sets of commands.
This seems to be a little bit different than a lot of the police shootings we see in the area when suspects drop guns and are armed. Does it follow department policy to kind of shoot into a car full of people like that?
Well, that's why we're conducting an administrative investigation. Right now, we have parallel investigations going because we want to make sure that we're investigating whether or not policies and procedures were followed as well.
So earlier in the dispatch call, we heard that a juvenile had a gun on them or firearm. Were these individuals that got in the car, were they the ones that had the gun, or why was the officer going over to these specific people?
We did not locate a weapon in the vehicle.
So why was this officer going toward these people that were getting in the car?
Again, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of fireworks being detonated at the scene at the restaurant, and I don't know why the officer addressed that particular vehicle at the time. That will come out during the investigation.
And did he smash the car's window?
One of the windows did shatter. Yes,
What did he smash it with? Was it a gun or?
it was a shotgun.
Shotgun.
The butt of a shotgun.
Was that the less
It was
lethal?
the less lethal.
Less lethal.
Okay.
What led him to activate his officer in need of aid alert?
I'm not sure. I believe it was accidental. Just with everything going on, I think he accidentally set it off.
Can you speak more broadly about when it's appropriate to call out officer in need of aid?
Well, it's appropriate anytime an officer feels like he needs assistance, additional assistance. If it's accidental, then I can't speak to that. But anytime an officer feels like he needs more assistance, then he can press his button or get on the radio and call it out.
Can you talk a little bit about, obviously we saw some chaos happening, and it sounded like it went on for more than an hour before the shooting. At what point do police call in some sort of support? I mean, obviously these officers were not able to get this situation under control for such a long time. Should they have called in, I don't know, like a special, like not SWAT, but some sort of special unit or other police departments for assistance?
That's a great question. This is a normal Sunday, day after the 4th of July, and the officers in the North County Precinct had their normal level of staffing. When they were called for a disturbance, they got there and they realized basically they were overrun. There was over 200 kids there, so they tried to disperse the crowd, get them going in one direction, moving south down towards Bell Fountain 270, taking on a lot of fireworks, a lot of things going on at that time, and then the incident happened at the restaurant. The officers called in an officer in need of aid, get additional cars there. The municipality showed up. When I was there, they stayed all night with us to the wee hours of the morning, so we had a large presence at a certain point. But at the time when the crowd was being dispersed and it became an unlawful assembly, the North County Precinct officers were undermanned and they pretty much got overrun, and that's why they called in additional resources.
There were two different officers mentioned, one 29 years old with 4 years of experience and one 33 years old with 6 years of experience. Is the 29-year-old the one that had the less lethal, and then the 33-year-old with the shots from the handgun?
I'm not sure.
Is it?
We'll check.
Okay.
Whatever order it was in the video, which is public, that's the order that the use of force occurred. So it's listed in the order that we saw the less lethal shot and then the shots fired.
Is it normal to have a use of force investigation when there is a less lethal method used?
Yes. It depends on the timing. Bureau of Professional Standards, who are handling the administrative investigation, and the crimes against persons that are handling the criminal investigation. At a certain point, they have a briefing, they discuss what transpired, and if there are possible policy violations violated, then I can give the authorization for the Bureau of Professional Standards to open up an internal investigation.
Has the investigation been handed over to the prosecutor's office yet for
It has not.
review?
Still under investigation by the detectives.
Your use of force guidelines lists under prohibited firearm discharge at or from a moving vehicle unless the occupants of the vehicle represent a direct or immediate threat to the life or safety of officers or another individual, and then only as a last resort. Based on what you've seen in the footage here, was there a threat to another individual, and was this the last resort?
Well, that depends on what the officer considers was a threat. As far as our policy goes, as far as under investigation, the Bureau of Professional Standards will be investigating the administrative portion. They've already watched a lot of video. They'll match the video with some statements, and then they'll all make sense for me. So when I get to read it, I've seen it numerous times, and I'll get to make a decision on whether or not I thought the officers performed their duties within policy.
But you've seen it numerous times, as you've said.
I've
Do
seen
you
it
have
numerous
a read
times.
on the situation?
Well, I can't tell you what the officer was thinking because I haven't been privy to that interview.
What's the timeline for that internal investigation?
I don't want to put a timeline on it.
Well, are
However,
we
we
close,
still-
or are we still weeks, months away?
We are close. We are probably weeks away.
Are the actions of those officers that night consistent with the standards of your department?
Well, the standard is excellence. That will all come out during the investigations. I don't want to prejudice either investigation. These officers are due process. Once everything is done and the investigations are completed, we'll make the right decision.
But do you feel this reflects your department the way you want it to?
Once the investigation is completed, I will make a statement and I will let you guys know whether or not I thought those officers performed their duties at the standard of the police department.
I've seen a lot of body camera footage from various shootings. I'm not sure I've ever heard a fellow officer yell, holster, 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 especially so many times. Maybe it's been said, but I can't recall a case. Can you talk a little bit about why an officer would yell that at another officer?
I would say that that's just leadership. He probably felt like, hey, if there was a threat, the threat is ended. Holster, 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 just giving commands to the officer.
Was anyone hit with the less than lethal round?
I do not believe so.
And I maybe this is, so we released the ages of the two teens that were shot.
Yes, and that news release just went out, so it's kind of buried in there under previously released information, but we did provide their ages. I think they were 15 and 16, but I don't recall at this moment.
Are those the ages? 15 and 16.
No juveniles have been charged as far as this morning goes. Do you anticipate applying for any charges against people who were involved in the gathering?
You know, that investigation is still ongoing at this time, so I couldn't give you a definitive answer on that.
Kind of going off of that, what about the homeowners where the pool party originated from?
Well, it started out as a pool party. The street, well, I should say the first precinct will be handling that part of it. I'm not sure if I know they've been contacted, but I don't know if any charges will be levied against the homeowner. I don't believe the homeowner was there, and it turned out to be a teen pool party. This wasn't a teen takeover or anything like that. It just turned into a mass gathering that became an unlawful assembly, and that sparked a response.
Was it like a homeowner's child though, or was this an Airbnb situation?
I'm not sure about that.
It wasn't an Airbnb situation, and at this point, there haven't been any charges against the homeowner. During that entire kind of incident, the North County Precinct did apply for one warrant, unlawful assembly, but we don't believe it was for the homeowner, but they did apply for one warrant. I'm not exactly sure what that was, but those would be misdemeanors.
Can you talk about that a little bit? We don't often come across unlawful assembly. It's not something that comes up too often in crimes we cover, at least as the media. What has to happen for that to kind of hit that threshold?
You come across them. I guess we just don't call them that as often, but let's just say if you have a teen takeover, you have a mass gathering. I prefer to call them mass gatherings because teen takeover is just like a thing now. But you have a large group, and then people start committing crimes, whether it could be any type of crime, misdemeanor or whatever. And then the officers give commands that, hey, this is now an unlawful assembly, you must leave. At that particular time, it becomes an unlawful assembly where arrests can be made at that time.
So it's the criminal, it's not the gathering, it's the criminal activity
Yes.
happening at the gathering.
Yes.
Chief, you said that the two officers were receiving two different commands. Do you believe that this was just a lack of communication?
He didn't say the officers were receiving two different.
That
teens.
yes, the teenagers were receiving two different commands. They were.
Mm-hmm.
Was this a lack of communication between your officers if they were receiving?
I'm not sure if it was a lack of communication. I think the first officer, when he's given a command to go, he's at a distance, and the other officer's coming in the opposite direction. I'm not even sure if he could hear what the other officer was saying, so he started giving commands at the vehicle as well.
Can you speak to how lucky this situation is that nobody was killed? And especially in light of, we hear critics all the time against, people always say at least, follow orders and you will survive in situations like this when it comes to obeying police commands. That seems to be what these individuals did. They were following the orders to get out of there in a hurry, and just the luckiness that nobody was killed in this instance.
We are extremely grateful that no one lost their life during this incident. We had some injuries, some minor injuries, but still we were extremely grateful that no one lost their life.
We'll take one more question and then we'll let the chief close.
This is probably for Vera. How many police shootings has the department had this year?
This year, officer-involved shootings this year. I'll have to check with DCI because I think we've had 2, but we investigate officer-involved shootings for other agencies. Colonel, do you know off the top of your head?
I mainly mean like county police officer involved.
Correct, okay, yeah.
I know you guys take on other.
I think it's just 2, Wildwood and this one.
One last question. What kind of discipline, if any, could the officers face?
Well, it could range from anything from an oral admonishment to termination.
Are they on leave currently pending
No.
this investigation?
Okay. They're in an administrative assignment, still working in a job that's not public facing right now. All right, in closing, guys, I'd like to thank all of the St. Louis County officers that responded. There were many that night. Our municipal officers who responded and stayed all night long. To Ms. Vera Clay and her group for putting the video together. And to the families, we had the team families in here yesterday, and they were able to view the video. And they came in on their own times and watched the video and asked some very intelligent questions yesterday. So I want to thank them as well. Thank you to the media and to the community for your patience, and we will update you when the investigations are completed. Thank
Just
you.
to follow up, if I may, how did the family react when they saw the video?
Well, I came in and introduced myself, and then I went back to the office and told them to come in and speak to me if they had any questions, but Vera was there the entire time.
Thankfully, the families have been in constant communication with our Division of Criminal Investigations detectives. We have detectives who take these types of cases all the time. They are experts in that communication, and so they were actually very grateful to one of our detectives, Detective Adams, who's leading this investigation, and how he's been able to keep them informed. But of course, to sit and watch the video, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's difficult for all of us to watch, so their reaction is probably very similar to your reaction, but we were grateful that they have been cooperative and took the time to come in and watch beforehand. So the link is live. It's already been sent out. The normal public information release with the link has been sent to the entire media list. So if you all have any follow-up questions, please feel free to just email us, and we will let you know when there are updates to this investigation. Thank you.